Hello and welcome to Stampscapes Live. We're going to try a different twist on the horizon card idea. The horizon card is just where you have the interior of the card with the top and bottom area right there. And of course, we're making use of the card format here to create kind of like a pseudo pop-up type of I don't know, look, appearance, element to our, otherwise two-dimensional piece right here. So what I was thinking about was in this mystic line of imagery is testing out kind of on a monochromatic, two monochromatic photos right here, because I think these photographic backgrounds work really well with the mystic line because they're all cloudy like that, and that's what that mystic line kind of, it's very conducive for that. Hello, Diana, how are you? All right, so let's see if this works. Yeah, I really liked that one, Diana. I had so much fun watching that one come together, because it was just an absolute experiment. So yeah, really happy with the way that thing came out. I don't know, it's just like cheating, in some ways. It's like getting a three-dimensional in spirit piece. I guess it is three-dimensional when you're looking at something like that at a 90-degree angle, but we don't have to do anything in order to create that, that aspect of it, which I think is really cool. So I'm going to try that. We're going to see if I can, I don't know, every time I kind of come across something like that, as far as an experiment goes, and if it comes out, it gets me really curious about, I don't know, watching other types of, compositions. Oh, recovering from major surgery. Wow. Oops, I just stamped in green here as opposed to black. Huh. This is my bottle green. It looked just like the black to me. When did you have your procedure there? Okay, we're switching up here. Maybe I could do something with this later on, a green element, but I'm just going to keep this one really simple and just do it in black and white. I'm going to keep that green on there, though. Maybe we can get a little bit of a green tinge here. Yeah, that's a major surgery, too, huh? Hello, CM Hawkins. How are you? Okay, let's see here. That was a good cloud, though. Let me see if I have that same cloud element here. Or not element, but photo here. I am starting to go through my photos pretty good here. I got a ton of them. Now, let's go with, here, I'll use this one on the bottom. This one will be my top piece right here. Let's see. Well, I wish you I always say, a nice, uneventful and boring recovery, because that would mean no complications, Oh, yeah. March 20th. Are you finding, are you feeling some improvement though, since the procedure? Okay, here we go. Let me see this. No, where did my print go again that I was using? Did I just, oh my God, did I just put it away? Okay, so this is going to go up here. And bottle green's a good one. I used it all the time. Back in the day, I don't know if the chemistry's changed on it, but I felt that, okay, we're going to go like this, okay? I felt that there weren't really, this is pre-stamp pads, okay? That's going way back in time, right? But I felt that there weren't really any great black inks out there in terms of pens. So I used to mix bottle green in pen form with the Marvy Violet number 8, and those two colors together. I remember it wasn't using the pads; it was using the Marvy brush markers because there weren't any dye-based raised dye-based ink pads out there. But those two colors together mixed to form a really deep, rich, dark hue. I don't know what it looked like. It looked like black to me, but it did have a little tinge of, those two colors together. So I forgot all about that. And then someone reminded me of that one time. It might have been in one of these live streams where they mentioned, yeah, we used to do whatever. I was like, what? I was like, oh, yeah, I forgot, completely forgot about that because I haven't thought about it in 20 years or something like that. So, yeah, it was kind of interesting. You're dealing with, let me see, your vocal cord was paralyzed in the surgery. My goodness. Yeah, that does sound pretty rough there. Paralyzed. Huh. Well, I hope you find some improvement as time goes on there. I take it you're doing, I don't know, they probably have you in therapy. I can't think it's like I don't know, what would that be there? It'd be like I don't know, is that physical therapy? Okay, so we have these two going on here. One's a little bit darker than the other, but I don't know, maybe that'll, serve us well. I don't know. Okay, so those two are sent. I just use the same image right here just to make things, nice and simple here. I tend to see these cards, even though, they look fairly complex like this, I do tend to think that they're really simple. With the reflections cards too, but I mean, this is just stamping on top of a photograph, with black ink. I mean, that was it. And this image down here is just colored with colored pencil yesterday. So pretty basic, but I think a big payoff, which is the really good, you know, it's a good combination. When it's simple, but it kind of looks complex and you know, it's easy to do and fast. Um, not that I think everything, has to be fast or anything. I don't do a lot of fast scenes, usually. But I don't think they're like complex or anything like that either. Um, but I don't know, these ones like this, when you take into account that three-dimensional aspect of them, I don't know, just fairly simple for the amount of whatever reward like that. So sending out positive vibes there, Diana, for I don't know, for a good recovery from, I don't know, the current state then. I spent a lot of time in rehab centers, not for me, but with my parents and things like that. So, um, seeing a lot of that. Not with something like a voice, though. Okay, so Mystic Mountains, okay? I'm going to wipe off a good deal of this because I don't want this one to be too dark, I don't think. But we can blot it out, though, later on, too. If it stamps out too dark, we have our white pigment ink. And white pigment ink works really well with photos here. Hello, Brene! Good to see ya! Yeah, I just jumped on here as a little impromptu. I wasn't gonna do it live, because I don't know. Some of them are thinking a lot of these, live streams. I know kind of the general kind of gist of what I'm doing, but on some of them, it's like a complete experiment. And a good deal of them are. But this one's like an experiment in terms of like format and media. Okay. Someone jumped on the other day and was like, "Hey, Kevin, you're talking a lot," and I get it though, because a lot of videos out there are instructional, you know, but a lot of mine are experimental, where I was, and in that video in particular, I was doing something for the first time, like, you know, ever for me. So yeah, sometimes I think maybe it's just better if I do it recorded. But it's fun to stamp with other people. Okay, so here's my little mountains in the background. See what a great thing and what a head start just doing these photographs are. These are all free for download if anyone's just jumping on for the first time. I have a lot of photos that are free for download, and then personally, I just get them printed out, at Costco, and I just get, I don't know what they are. They were 10 cents or something like that each, so I got like 30, I don't know if it cost like $5 or something like that, I don't know, 5 prints of each photo, and and then I just look through them and try to decide which ones might fit, I don't know, whatever composition I have in mind. So I don't know. That's almost like it's almost cheaper than buying some pre-printed papers. These are just 4x6s, but they're still really cheap. Okay, so this is the smaller Mystic Mountains right here. Okay, and then let's see here. Let's put those. Trying to decide here. Let's put those right up here. I'll have those going kind of off the top of the page, maybe like that. Okay, and let's go for a really, really light one. I'll have it right over here. Okay. That one was stamped out like darker than the other one, maybe because I pressed and held longer. Okay, so these emulsion, I would think it's on any type of paper, but emulsion coated photo papers, they really accept water-based media really well. I'm trying to think if I should stamp another mountain back there. Let's leave that as is right there. Maybe I'll stamp a word stamp in there or something like that. But let's go on from here. Okay, now here's what I'm thinking. I want to model these forms a little bit more. And okay, so the thing that I was playing around with on what I'm calling a horizon card. Okay, so that represents areas kind of on a vertical plane. It's going back in the distance, and here's these things coming up from bottom like that. And this is going to be some area down below. I don't know, in theory, maybe I should have like some kind of like reflection area down there of these trees. I could probably do that with my opposite imagery coming in there like that, but I don't think I want to do that right here. So I want to just have this as like water or something like that. So I'm just going to put in some foreground right here. Here's what I was also thinking before I started this off. I was wondering if I could have something like this down here, other imagery down here, like, the mystic trees going left and right. But in this format, I don't think that's going to work, because I think when you have this area down here, it's supposed to represent kind of a flatter plane. I think we can have some things in here, but I don't think I would put it too high up here, like a tree that's supposed to be high, okay? I want this on a kind of on a flat plane, okay? So I thought I would just add in some foreground like this, and then add in like a couple of those fishing boats or something like that in there. Okay, so I'm just thinking out loud. Okay, I don't know what that's going to look like until I do it, but we'll find out together here. Uh-oh, speech therapy won't help, huh? Are you getting any type of kind of sound at all then, or? Everyone here, send Diana their positive vibes. Let's see. Sia remembers, like, you remember the color. Maybe you're the one that told me about it. I don't know. You make them look complex. That's the key. Brene, that's what also it keeps a lot of people from doing a lot of the things that I do or trying it because they think, oh my God, I can never do that. Someone told me that on one foil piece where all I did was stamp on it with like impressions and stays on ink. But, it looked, hopefully it looked pretty good. And they just said, "Oh, I would never be able to do that in my life." And that's kind of I'm an instructor too, so that's a little bit frustrating to hear. And plus, I was, you know what I mean. I had like my son was like in the scouts and stuff like that, so you don't want to hear that, even like from your kids or anything like that. But you don't want to hear that from people with like adults either. But on the other hand, they're saying, hey, that looks so good. They don't think that they'd be able to do it. And you don't want someone to, on the other hand, take a look at your card and think, oh my God, yeah, how simple that looks. How simple and easy. How simple and easy was that card? So it's like one of those things. You want people to try these things, but you don't. You know what I mean? But it. I mean, the idea is to make a really great looking card. Okay, I'm holding this down a little bit longer. I want to get a good impression of these bamboo leaves here in the foreground. Okay. I added a little tinge of green. I don't know if you can tell in there. It's kind of black, greenish right there. Okay. And hopefully that looks reasonably three-dimensional because this is going to be the part on the flat, plane here. So we'll see how this goes right here. So I'm just using little portions of it. So I'm going to use about right here. But when we ink this up, ink up more than you think you're going to be using because I've seen it, a gazillion times happen before, like in workshops where they think, okay, I'm just going to use this part. So they ink up like that part and then they go and stamp it out and they didn't, just use that portion where it's inked and they stamp it out and then there's like this part of it missing in there. Okay, so I mean, it's not, wasting a lot of ink, to ink up your stamp an extra half an inch or something like that. Now, if that happens with something like this, it's like, oh my God, this whole, I got a 1/4 inch here of missing bamboo leaves. All you have to do is just ink it up again and, just do it. Not, if you're using the stamp position, you can hit it exactly again. But if you're not, you just kind of, overlap things and just, layer a little bit more. Okay, so it's going like this. Make sure I inked up enough here. Okay. Do you use stays on shiny photos? You can, Brene, but I just use water-based, just dye inks. Okay. Here's the thing. For photographs like this, like I'm going to color this one right here. Okay. And there's not very many things you can color this with, and blend on top of your photo paper, okay? But alcohol inks work great for that, all right? But if I use a StazOn, of course, the alcohol inks will put the solvent ink back into solution. Therefore, I'm stamping these out in water-based ink so I can color it and not influence or smear my water-based impressions with the alcohol pens, okay? So the alcohol pens, like I said, are really fantastic for, that purpose right there. Okay, so let's see what this is going to look like right here, okay? I think that looks pretty good. What do you think, We're done. No, I'm going to stamp out a couple other things on here, and hopefully it looks, fairly decent. I'm going to see if I can add a little bit of shadow work down here. I don't know what with though. Or maybe no, maybe instead of going shadow, we go with like some like mist or something like that, like fog. Okay. So that would kind of eradicate this, need for like a heavy shadow here from our, shoreline, waterside, whatever, imagery. Okay. Because normally, if this is like right on the side of this water, it'd have a reflection down in this area right here. But I don't want to do that. So I'm going to just put like, if this area right here is a bunch of fog, then that eradicates that need there. So just why not make things easy for ourselves? I was just looking at this video, Diana, about it said singers. You can go on YouTube. It's singers with raspy voices, and one of the photos was Rod Stewart, and I didn't know there was another male singer. I don't know who it was. I didn't recognize him if I did know him, but I don't know. You can get that really great singing voice, now. Maybe you already had it, but you can have one of those raspy ones, which I think is pretty cool. All right. I'm not making light of it. I just saw that raspy thing. Like I don't know. It popped up on my feed. Like I don't know. It was like yesterday or something like that. Let's see. Okay. Let me take a look at this again. Okay, let me see these images. One of the things is, when you're adding in like a little subject matter, you stamp out your imagery to the side like that, just to get kind of the gist of, what it might look like on your piece. Okay, so let's see here. Okay, they're roughly, this one's a little bit closer to this one, and I'm trying to decide, let me see if I can figure it out here just by putting this next to it here. I think either one of those would look good. I was thinking about using both of them together, on here, but maybe, I think this one maybe, because this one's a lot more three-dimensional. It goes up higher like that, so maybe this, the less, whatever vertical one would be better. I think it'd be okay, either one of those, but let's go with the fishing boat. I can't remember the name of this one. It's either Fishing Boat 2 or Fishing Boat 3. Okay, let's see. I'm making sure I have this on my block straight. It's a little bit high here. Let me see. Okay, is that it? I might have rotated it the opposite way. Let me see. Okay. Change your impression pressure with these small stamps. Okay. All right, so we got our little thing. One of the things I was thinking about doing on this one, if you've watched my previous videos, was to look at, doesn't that look real three-dimensional? Is trying one of those red suns and doing red sun type of element in this format right here. I think it'd be interesting. No, this is on photo paper here, which I think is kind of interesting because it's just so glossy and everything like that. But I think you can probably print these off on like I would probably print it off on a decent cardstock, but you can do something like this in theory on your just regular paper, and it would give you more options in terms of how you color it. Maybe with if it's like on a matte paper that you print out these photos on. Or you can print it off on one photo, but just do it larger, right? And then you just fold it right in the center like that. But that would open up some other possibilities as far as coloring goes with your colored pencils and pastels, chalks, things like that. Graphite. I don't know, does anyone use graphite or like charcoal here or Conte crayons? But that would open up that type of potential there. Okay, so let me see here. All right. I wanted this just to be really quick here, but I might layer in like some green bamboo branches right in here too. I'm not sure. But let's go and let's start coloring this. Speaking of stays on or, whatever you might use on here. Okay, so the alcohol inks really are very, very surface oriented when you apply it to, photo paper because of that emulsion coating on top of there. So keep that in mind. It's not absorbing into the surface of the paper or beyond the surface into the pulp like it would with, glossy cardstock, certainly, definitely mattes and everything like that. I don't know if UPO, I've never used UPO, but I know that's what a big alcohol ink one. Do alcohol inks penetrate UPO paper? I've never even had UPO paper, so I don't even know. But I was under the impression it was something like a vellum or something like that in terms of the quality. Just from someone's description, I never saw it. But picking out some different tones here. Mostly, I'm going to mostly go with grayscale, but I do have a little bit of green in this. But let's see. Let's start off with that right here. If you saw my other videos on kind of minimalistic grayscale type of format, I just went with, I think all I used was black, right? And then I just, with that watercolor pencil, and then I just made my grayscale from that. But let's see. Okay, so a little bit of warm tone right here, a little bit of green. It's like an olive-ish, brownish. I don't know, it's not really olive. It's brownish gray right here. And a little bit of a darker gray for our, kind of our value, range extension. And we'll see if we need some other ones after this. Now, remember, all this is going to be surface oriented, so you can really mix it around on here. And if something goes on too harsh for you, you can always take your blender pen or something like that and kind of just move it around a little bit, almost like watercolors in terms of the look. Okay, hello, Vintage Scrap Girl. All right, let's see. It almost does look finished. Yeah. I think the things I'm just going to do on here, I think it's going to be fairly minimal. Okay. All right, now, when I do this right here, I don't really look for like a really smooth application of ink. I mean, I'll try to do it, but if I don't get it, kind of just from the get-go, I don't know, whatever, modeling application of ink, where it's nice and smooth. I don't worry about it because I know I'm going to go through some tones and I'm going to go back in with a lighter tone and kind of start moving some of that layered ink around. Okay, now remember, I'm not moving around my impression in the dye-based ink. I'm just moving around the alcohol ink that's sitting there on the surface like that. Hey, there you go. You got that nice raspy voice there. You gotta make use of it while you have it. I was listening to what was it? Oh, Bonnie Tyler. What is it called? Heartache or something like that? Again, not to make light of it or anything like that, but I don't know. It might be like your singing superpower now. Okay, now this right here, I'm going into. This is what's always weird for me in using these mountains like this. I usually have lighting coming from above, illuminating my mountain peaks and everything like that. But on this one, I like that cloudy area to be kind of the illuminating area within these pieces. So I'm going in kind of against my, I don't know, whatever, my general approach, I guess you can say, to coloring like background hills or something like that, okay? So I'm adding this on the top, and then that brings out my cloudy base a little bit more, right? So that's just some gray right here. Okay, so I've just gone in. This is like a, I don't know, what do you think? Like a 50% gray, maybe, I'm thinking. Okay. So going in here like this. Let's put a little bit of this on the base of this right down here. But again, I'm going to add in some, some pigment ink for, to look like mist or something like that in there. Okay. Now, what's going through in my mind is I'm thinking, let's see, how far do I bring this tone down this way? Okay. For these background hills, all of it, that's, I'm uncertain, okay? Because I just started using these whenever, a couple weeks ago, right? So, but one of the good things about working on this photograph with alcohol pens against water-based imagery is that, if you add too much, it's when can you really go in with anything that we really do in stamping, in terms of our media, in terms of color applications, maybe watercolor or colored pencils to an I don't know if you can really erase it, but you can almost kind of remove ink with alcohol inks on this because they just kind of, they're, like I said, they're kind of floating around. It would be as if, almost as if, you colored like a piece of glass or plastic or something like that, and then you went into it. That's, a little bit of what this feels like. And as a matter of fact, it's a little bit squeaky when I'm kind of applying this here. So, it's, it's bottom line, it's really user friendly like that. Hello, Bugs, if I didn't already say so. Oh, it stays on the. I thought Yupo, you can really blend your alcohol inks on there. Well, this one stays on here too. But I was just, I don't know. Yeah, I wasn't quite sure the how malleable, those alcohol inks were on the Yupo. Um, just from never using it, myself. Okay, this is a little bit of that brownish tinge. So giving my gray tones a little bit of temperature here. So let's see, let's color this little fishing boat as well. Let's give it a little bit of a tinge of color, or temperature, I should say. Okay. It kind of looks interesting just like that, huh? If you'd stamp like some kind of, interesting quote here, poetic quote, I mean, just that alone would be kind of cool, I think. All right. So, green, okay. I'm doing this kind of coloring that I used to see this one guy do when I was sophomore in high school, and I think he was a senior. We were in just kind of this special, I don't know, it was like a self-guided, I don't know, kind of a class. I forget what you call those things, but where you just come up with your own curriculum. I was in it as a sophomore, but it was supposed to be like the class that you take after you've gone through all the other art classes, but I kind of skipped ahead. Not just not for any because I was qualified or anything like that. I don't know. I signed up for that and they didn't kick me out. So, but he was just constantly working as like layers of watercolors over and over and over on his pieces, kind of getting these muted but rich tones laid out. At one point in time, I thought he was kind of overworking it, though. Um, because he was working on this one gigantic piece for months. But this is what this kind of reminds me of. I'm doing this, but so I don't know if you can see that there's a little transitions of green and brown in here now, like that. So the mountains look a little bit more mottled, if you remember what that looked like, when I first started out there. And let's see. So let's take a look here. Okay. So I think it's matched up reasonably well here. Someone opens this up like that. I think that would provide them with an interesting visual. I'm going to lay down those pigment inks in here. This seems like an area that would be, you can stamp your quote. I think the quote or word stamp would look really great over the top of this area in here. But like I said, let's try it out with just some, hopefully, kind of that needle and thread element to add over all of our different areas in here. Whatever, texture element light with the white pigment ink, okay? All right, so let's see. Yupo is plastic card. Hello, Kay. It's a plastic type of, I don't care for it for stamping scenes or graphic images. Huh. What is it? What is Yupo the most ideal for then? Would you say? They're gonna have that. Well, if your voice stays, somewhat raspy, then they might need that. Singers with raspy voices too. They'll come after like Rod Stewart and such. Again, not to make light of it. I wish you the best of recovery here, but yeah, it sounds like you might have a bit of a raspy voice. I'm saying that, I don't know. My voice is a little bit raspy too. Okay, so let me see. I'm going to add a little bit of this tone up into these trees here. This one came out a little bit greenish. Too greenish, okay. Well, actually, that's not too bad. This gray here looks like it's staining it very nicely. I'm going to do something here. Why not? I'm going to go in and add a little bit of a brownish tinge to these trees here. Okay. Why not, huh? So I've left these trunks open on the when designing it like that. I don't know if you can tell right there. Let's make it a little bit more apparent. Okay, so that was a little bit of a... Okay, now see this right here? Here's an example of this. See, if I just color that in, I don't like that look. It's like really different in terms of a hue. But then I'm just going to go right over the top of it. And I really like the way that these colors like blend on here. So let's see if I can get in there a little bit closer for you. And then, see, I'm just kind of moving a lot of that brown around. So I'm kind of breaking it up too. So it's not just a, one line of it. So it's kind of doing that thing, like what alcohol inks do, it kind of like spreads out a little bit. And, if you dab down like on a piece of probably Yupo or something like that, you get that area that kind of comes out and there's a little bit of that alcohol ring on the perimeter like that. What? a lot of people don't, you probably won't like that because a lot of people just, they don't want any kind of texture in their pieces at all. Personally, I love that texture because it reminds me of kind of that watercolory type of look, where, they lay down some water and then they paint into it and it kind of, expands out and you get that little line on the extremities of that area. I like that look. So some of these things that are happen with the alcohol links layered like that kind of reminds me of that. I don't know. A lot of things that I do too are, they're very, they're detail oriented, and I like the fluidity of things like alcohols, which I'm not good at. So when I can get it like with, or a similar type of fluidity with, white pigment ink and alcohol inks like that, I try to go for this, some of that. You gotta remember, I'm really comfortable with like a technical pen in my hand, but I like real fluid types of looks. That's what I'm probably going for a lot of times with my scenes, you know, because, you know, in the course of drawing something like that, it's a very mechanical process. It's like, you're doing one dot at a time. So I'm always trying to bring like an element of grace to it, but the act of doing it, it's like the opposite of calligraphy, which I love to look at. I don't know. I'm just not good at that type of thing. So, okay, so we have our white pigment ink here, and let's try to bring this kind of misty element, which already exists in the photograph, right? Because it's clouds, so that represents suspended moisture that's being illuminated by your source of light. All right, so we're just bringing that right over the top of it in, with an actual medium right here. I don't know if you can see that right there. I mean, this white is a little bit of a different color than the white down here. So it's giving it a little bit of dimension, extra lighting, and then if I have like rough areas that, where I've applied my alcohol inks really badly, and that happens a lot, it doesn't matter with me because I just smooth it out with white pigment ink right over the top of it. So it's the great it, it's the great correctional texture for my, with what I do. But it also, I think, looks good too. So it kills two birds with one stone. It hides my worst, whatever applications of whatever media it is, but it also enhances, right? So yeah, you can't ask for anything more in a medium. It makes it look better, and it also hides the worst, right? Okay, so anyways, see, I'm adding it right down here. I'm adding it where the light meets darker areas like that, okay? Be a little bit careful about the application of this because sometimes it can stick really pretty firmly, you know what I mean? If I go like this, that's, it doesn't come off, okay? So, you just want to use a really dry application right here because, you can put like 20 taps down and it's barely applying any of this really thin layer of a kind of a drier pigment. If you were doing painting, you would call it dry brushing, okay? When people first start doing this, I mention this all the time. When people first start doing this, though, they're used to applying media to their cards, okay? If you're using a pen and you're using whatever color, cobalt blue. With a pen, you go like that, and it's cobalt blue. It's almost like 100% version of it, or, a colored pencil. People can go, with a very light touch like this, but they see it happening right there. But sometimes with this, if you go with like 2 taps or something like this, where it's really dry on here, they're not used to not seeing anything happen, and it requiring, like whatever, 15 applications, 20, whatever, however many tappings you're doing. So But when you do it that way, you have a lot of control on it, and there's hardly any kind of, surprises, no negative surprises at least, okay, when you're doing it like that. It's because it's coming into focus like, on a knob of like 1 through 1,000 or something like that, right? But if you go in with a really wet one like that, it's a little bit more of a precarious kind of exercise like that. So I don't know if you can see it right down here. See that mist in there? But doesn't it look like, those hills on there? I think they've been pushed back a little bit, and they're also kind of, they're they look a little bit more dimensional, like they're kind of not encompassed, but they're I don't know. I can't think of the word right now. They're enveloped in that illuminated element in there. Okay, now see this right here? This is a real crisp side right here. Okay, and same thing right there. Let's not change too much of it though. Okay, so I'll go like this in here, but remember, this is what's going to help it kind of match with this lower section. Okay, I'll put some of this element right in here like that. I won't put it everywhere though, but we'll put it in a couple of different areas. We'll take a look at it against this lower portion here too. Okay, so that's going kind of like apply, soft, sharp, like that. Okay. And right over here, we'll do the same. We'll bring some of this. Let's leave this one crisp right here, and then I'll make it a little bit softer over here. See, sometimes you can go up higher, or you can just leave it kind of like a real low line fog like that too. So, just kind of let your eye be the judge of it, and just take a look at it at arm's distance periodically and see what you prefer. And if you want to go higher, you don't have to go up like an inch, like, okay, I don't know if I want to have some up here. I am just going to add it like that, And I may or may not like it. But if you just kind of like barely dab it on there, you can really control the amount of applications. So, yeah, let's put some of these trees right back in here. Or one, there's not a ton of them, but let's make one a little bit kind of like it's in a little bit of that mist or fog right over the top like that, maybe. Okay. So some of these branches up here like that, maybe where there are some of are in the light like that, maybe they can be enveloped in some of these areas so it doesn't look so kind of a uniformly dark or whatever defined tree. Maybe some of these areas could be a little bit lighter like that. So doesn't that tree seem a little bit more dimensional like that? And that, it's like tapping this. It like took, I don't know, whatever, 10 taps. So suddenly you have a much more three-dimensional looking, tree form like that. So it doesn't matter what it is. It could be anything. It could be a cabin or a fence or something like that. But if you change, or if you expand on the textural range of any given form, especially if it's with white pigment ink like this, you can really influence the whatever the three-dimensional illusion of it. All right, let's take a look and see how that looks against this. All right. Like that. I think that looks pretty good. Okay, so we have all that kind of misty element up there. Let's do it right over the top of this one too, but I'll just try to, it's a really small form like this, and maybe using a little cotton ball is a little bit of a better tool for that, but let's just use the cotton ball, or did I say cotton ball? Q-tip could be a little bit better for that. But I'll just do a little bit of it like so. See, like that right there? So even that little fishing boat like that is a little bit darker back here and lighter up here. Or it's, it's a little bit lighter on the lower half like that. Let's see. I'm trying to think if I want any more bamboo. I changed my mind. I'm not going to put any more bamboo right here, branches. I think this is just about right here. I think it looks reasonably three-dimensional. I'm looking at this base right around here. Let's add a little bit more. I think I need to make some of this a little bit lighter where it's light, okay? Just so it matches this area down here just a touch more. You can use alcohol and blending solutions to move your alcohol inks around and blend them. Hello, Virgo! Yeah, looks like, the good thing about this type of little format here is a pseudo kind of three-dimensional card from all two-dimensional processes right here. We're just kind of we're making use of that the folding aspect that's inherent, to a standard card to our advantage right there. We're just doing it on the interior though, of course. So instead of a reflection card, we'll call it the horizon card. It's a good thing about trying stuff out new. You can kind of name it whatever you want. All right, let's see. Yeah, like something like that. It'd be kind of interesting if we could have something kind of pop up, though, But with that being said, I just don't think we absolutely have to, though, to get a reasonable kind of, illusion of whatever space in here. Okay, so these are getting real floppy right here. Let me get these tacked down, and then let's see if we can go in and add a little bit of extra detail onto some of our forms. And I don't know, I think that should do it here. I like this little, little piece right here. It doesn't stand out as like a, like a complete thing. It would need like some little kind of I thought about adding that little pavilion right in here. I think that would look okay. But I don't know, now that I'm thinking about it, I might... let me take a look at this again. I almost forgot about that. It would add kind of a little bit more of a focal point to this area in here. But I don't know, that might be a good connective thing in here. This is kind of symmetrical right here. Let's go ahead and do it. Please do not drop the stamp on there. It's always one of those things when you're adding like a word stamp or something like that at the tail end of the process. It's like, please do not drop this. Or smudge it or smear it or something like that. That's why I did like a bunch of practice, impressions with this one. Just to get the right amount of pressure, in the right area. And make sure I didn't have it kind of like skewed too. Okay, let's see. All right, so let's see. I'm gonna do a little, I don't know if I need to mask here, but. Okay, if my head's in the way, forgive me. Okay. All right. I put that there because I thought that kind of this diagonals like that, and it looks like that guy is kind of looking out, over there too. So I'll put a little bit of mist on that, but let's let that dry for a minute here as I adhere these to the piece. Okay. I just re-inked my black pad fairly, I don't know, when was it, yesterday or, I don't know, a couple days ago, so. On the emulsion, these things really dry really fast, but just making sure I don't want a blurred out pavilion back there. Okay. See, to get these in here, what I do is I fold it like this, and then I just take this and I just, butt it up right against that crease right there, or the lower, whatever the lower element is, like so. Have that, like so, okay. I got a little crease right in there. Sometimes I just take, I mentioned, take a little Sharpie pen before you add these in there, but I can also just take if there's like white in between there like that, you just take a colored pencil and go down, that area like that. Okay. And if you don't get these like centered too, usually what I do is I take this over to my trimmer. Like if this thing's hanging over by, like, see that little line right there? Where I didn't, this over here it's not hanging out or something like that, but usually when I do this, I take my trimmer and I just trim off that side and this side to get it really flush, especially if it was really off. And let's see here, let's go in and let's just kind of put that pavilion, which is now a very, strong focal point, and let's put it in the same type of element as all the rest of the pieces here in terms of, this pigment ink fog or mist. I'm looking at it again. I'm going to make sure that's nice and dry here. Let's see. Yeah, I don't see anything coming off. Okay, so I just put it like on that side of it. It's a little bit, yeah, you probably can't see that at all. I'm looking at my computer screen here, and you probably can't see it. It's subtle. It's knocking it down probably just a couple percentage points in terms of, from black to, whatever, 97% gray or something like that. Okay. But that is that. Like I said, I think, I think you can put like some kind of like word stamp in here too, and it would look like it's floating on the water, your whatever copy. But let's see, let's go in, let's add a little bit of kind of textural detailing in here, and that should be it, I think. All right. Just adding little highlights along these tree trunks right here. I like adding some of it on my rocks. This white is almost a little bit too dark, I think. Let me go for something a little bit duller. So, maybe not that. Let's see. This is a little bit of a tan color. It's a little bit of a beige, okay? If I had a really, really light blue, I can do that one too. But I think down in these rocks, some of my little highlights with the white, they're almost standing out too much. So this is just going into it with something with a little bit more of a, it's still really light, but it's just a little bit of a slightly darker value to match, to not contrast against, the background so much. Yeah, can you see that right there? Like these rocks over here as opposed to this one. See that I put a little bit of highlights on my trees like that. I think it kind of brings it to life a little bit more. And I'm putting it like on the top sides of the rocks that are still a little bit light. If I've made certain rocks kind of dark with, that alcohol ink, then I don't bring in too many highlights on it, because if it's dark, we're saying that light isn't hitting it, too much in that area like that. But you can put it on your trees too. So we've made the trees, some of the limbs a little bit different texturally. Okay, so we made them a little bit different, like from a soft texture. Okay, but this is going in and varying some of this tree, and it just takes like a few dots. Okay, and so you're bringing a soft texture into it. It's kind of soft lighting into it, and this is kind of an aspect of crisp lighting. So you're really kind of playing around with textural variation here and lighting at the same time by doing these two, types of, finishing touches right here. So see this rock right here? So those little dots on there, how that kind of, it brings out the lighting of it a little bit more. Okay. And here's this little pavilion right here. Let me see if I can get, some little touches of light kind of reflecting off it, just to kind of bring it to life a little bit more. So I don't know if you can see that on there. I didn't bring it too much in the center of it, which would stand out a little bit more. I'm gonna try, I don't want it to, be too extreme. Unless you want it to look like Christmas lights or something like that on there, which we don't. Okay, so here's some on my mountain ridges, maybe. These are kind of darker up here, so I'm not going to do too much. All right, like that. I don't know if you can see it. See, it's like a few little dots right along some of these ridges. If you ever do it, it's like you get carried away and then you hold it up and it's like, oh my God, I'm blinded with like crawling little dots or something like that. You can do a couple different things. In this case, you can go back and color them, some of them, with your alcohol ink. Okay, so you can just knock them down a value or two if they're standing out too much. If I'm doing them on glossy, I can actually scrape them off, to some extent. I don't want to scrape off 100 dots or something like that, but you can scrape off a few. I've done it like for stars in the sky too, where I've just gone a little bit nuts because it's really fun to add these dots and highlights into a scene. And when I'm doing that, I'm kind of focusing on one little tiny area. And then it's like when I hold it out at arm's distance, like, oh my God, I went nuts with it. So I have wiped off, some highlights before, or just darkened them, with some additional ink. Okay, so I'm adding some of this right down here on some of these bamboo leaves, just to bring that same kind of element down here as what's happening up here. And I think that should do it. So I don't know. On the outside, I'd put my greeting or whatever, on a white piece of paper. I don't know. I'd probably do something. I'd probably frame off some kind of quote or something like that. and place it right there. You can say to whoever, from, and then they can open it up, and you have that right there. So I don't know, a little twist again on the reflection card idea this time, a horizon card, and I think we have a reasonably, decent little. I don't know. I wouldn't call it complex, but all it is, I mean, you can, like I said, you can do this almost if you can, draw a line down here so you know exactly where to stamp. I suppose, like I said, you can stamp this a scene like that on one piece of paper if you can fold it just right on that area right there. I think it's easier to do it on separate pieces like this, but again, it's just taking advantage of your card format there for, I don't know, it's a little bit more of a dynamic kind of arrangement. It's still simple, like I said, in spirit, but it just gives you that little bit more of a, I don't know, kind of three-dimensional look. I'm looking at this guy down here, and I think I stamped it on that silver reflective foil last time, and it looked real three-dimensional. Or, yeah, it looked like it was floating on there, but I think that guy just on the top of this photograph almost looks like that too. A lot of times I try to anchor them down usually when I'm doing scenes in the past, but I'm kind of going through this process of kind of rethinking some of my processes here, at least in terms of specific usages of things like this. But, kind of in this water area like that, just having it really kind of simple like that, it really kind of stands out. It almost looks like, if I held this down like this, if someone looked at it, it almost looks like it's, kind of suspended in that area instead of being anchored down, which, like I said, I've usually done in the past. I've anchored things to give them a little bit more visual weight, but I think having a little bit airier and whatnot is kind of cool too. So, yeah. All right. Fun with pigment inks, Linda. All right, so everyone, another little experiment here. I hope you like the end result. I do like it. So again, it's just kind of like I said, it's just kind of building on these different things like this, and I don't know, going through this one to me, like I said, we can do a card just like that too, a flat one, but I don't know. I felt that when I did this to it, just the illusion, or just having this three-dimensional, L shape to this. I was thinking about it later. I think it makes, to me, those objects in there look like they're more three-dimensional, maybe because of this thing actually coming out like that. I don't know. I felt like these images later on could look like they're standing out from that photograph more just because of this is pushing that illusion maybe or something like that. I mean, they stand out like decently like that too, but I don't know. I thought it looked even more so when I went like that with this piece down here. So I don't know if there's some kind of like different type of illusion that's happening, if you have these things actually closer to you physically in space, if it's kind of changing the illusion of the background pieces or not, I don't know, but I thought it might be doing that to like some small extent. But I don't know. I think it's kind of interesting, and I don't know, it opens up a lot of different possibilities here. So this one right here, playing around just the two photographs, in both areas, and it's not the same photograph, it's just a different one. And I think it's, I don't know, I think that can work for a lot of different compositions. I'll have to try that out with some of their imagery, the Lakeside Cove or something like that, maybe going forward. Okay, so anyways, thanks for jumping in here, whatever time it is for you all. If it's really super late night, or more morning, midday. Thanks for joining in, and hope you have a great rest of evening. All right, everyone. Thanks again, and hope to see you on the next live stream.